unmute him. Good evening, folks. Welcome once again to another edition of Coming in Clutch on the Eric B. Media platform. Every Monday night, 6:30 to 7:30. I'm Nelson, and to your right, my left, is Colby T. And we are getting ready and rattled to get going on the special great edition because your Celtics are 3-0 in that series. But first, we have to start with our sponsors, Cope. And, of course, as always, this podcast is being brought to you by Troy City Mortgage and his partner over at the Walsh Title and Closing, working together to bring you the best home buying experience. Troy City Mortgage, the best place to get a mortgage in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, led by the great David Pereira. His team at Troy City have local roots, deep knowledge, and expert solutions to get you the very best mortgage possible. Give them a call at 508-207-5864, 508-207-5864. And the great folks at the Walsh Title and Closing can be located at 508-858-5725. That's 508-858-5725. And as always, folks, we start always with our opening vent. But, of course, I need to greet my partner in crime, Colby.
Hey, Nelly.
What's up, my man?
What's going on?
We have survived and came back from our hiatus.
Yes.
We made it. So we had an opportunity to go out there to New York to take care of some things out there, and we had a chance to catch the game. And my opening event begins just there. So this is what the opening event is about. If you'll see in our sports front here with our hats, we only have two hats out there, which is the Boston Celtics and the Boston Bruins. Notice they're both Boston, clearly. And also notice the fact that these two teams are officially in the playoffs, well into the playoffs. And we didn't mention much about the Bruins last week, but the Bees are pretty much locked in. They're wrapping up a few games of the season. And this just shows how lucky you should be as a Boston fan. You know why? Because after we beat the snot at Barclays, we had to catch an Uber back. And we were in the van with three, not one, not two, but three New Jersey Nets fans.
Brooklyn Nets.
I say New Jersey because he had the New Jersey Nets. But yes, the Brooklyn Nets.
Yes.
And you want to know what's pathetic? You know what you could be, Boston? You could be those fans that like the New York Jets, the New York Mets, and the Brooklyn Nets, who have combined have won, I believe, one championship in the last 20 years. 25 years,
Maybe
I think.
even longer than that.
Well, I say the Mets won that one championship in 2001 with Bobby Valentine.
That's right.
If you take that one out of the equation, it's probably been, I don't know, out of 5 and a bunch of zeros. Okay? That is what you could be. So when I hear the media want to talk about the negativity that could happen with the Boston team that made the playoffs and that the playoffs could not be good enough, especially for these two teams, who play in a tough league, where that league has a lot of games played, a game that, specifically in hockey, that to stay healthy is very difficult, to manage players, very difficult. I'm not saying it's not difficult for anybody else, but if you make it in, you have now survived the regular season.
Correct.
And you, as a Boston fan, is why you should stand by your teams. Because we, in general, have had a winning culture in this town for quite some time. So you could have it much worse. You could be the New Jersey Nets. You will forever be the New Jersey Nets. You know why? Because you stink in Brooklyn. Those fans are the biggest fraud fans I've ever seen. What a quiet place. When you can hear MVP for Jason Tatum taking free throws, when you can hear "Let's go Celtics" chant in your house, and you're just sitting there on your phone doing God knows what, you're a fake fan. You are a pink hat fan. You are never going to win.
Well, I was going to piggyback off this. You know how I know they are fake fans? The fact that Spike Lee was sitting courtside at that game the other day.
Yes.
And that guy prides himself as being the biggest Knickerbocker fan there is in the planet.
Right.
But yet now he's going to be a Brooklyn Net fan.
Interesting.
I don't care if you grew up in Brooklyn. Okay. You've been supporting the Knicks ever since you probably could go to a game.
You could have supported the New Jersey Nets because the Nets technically, I think from a demographic perspective, is pretty close to New Jersey.
Yes.
For where it's not like it's like, 3 states away.
Correct.
So that is my vent, is that I am sick and tired of the negativity, obviously, in the town. But in general, we have 2 teams who are basically going into their playoff season, both teams, because, it's kind of coincided, basketball and hockey. And we're going to be rooting and talking about these games, which means we have data, platform, and content, Colby, for at least 2-3 weeks. And you want to know what some of these other bobos who have their podcasts?
Nothing.
They're talking about spring flowers and when the perennials are going to bloom and when their grass is going to get cut and when they're going to replace their swing set on their kid. That's what you're talking about.
Who the Jets are going to pick at number 3.
Yeah, at number 3. Losers. So that is my vent. Boston all the way. You should be proud to be a Boston fan. I know I am. Yes, we can rack on them when need be, but you can be a Nets fan and a Jets fan like we saw, and it was glorious to be able to honk and tonk all that drive back to our hotel. And let me tell you, it's a long drive. And they were listening to me, and they could not get enough of how much they hate the Patriots and how much they hate the Celtics. You know why they hate? Because they can't beat. So there's my vent. Colby, you're up.
So my vent is kind of a little close to kind of what you've been talking about, except what I don't understand is how come there isn't a bigger national media coverage on the disgusting act that happened at Yankee Stadium on Saturday.
Unbelievable.
Because the funny thing is, if that happened in Boston, which it did, which it was one fan who threw a water bottle at Kyrie Irving last year during the playoffs, the national media went crazy over that and pretty much said that Boston's racist, the fans are disgusting, they're awful, they don't know how to act. Listen, what just happened at Yankee Stadium the other day is probably 100 times worse what happened to Kyrie Irving.
Right. Not an excuse that we shouldn't have done it, but the magnification of that event.
Because it was just one fan that did in Boston. If you watch what happened, there was multiple people throwing food, soda, beer, just anything they could get onto that field.
Exactly.
I just
not a lot of coverage on that.
Yeah, and even today, I figured, we might have saw it on some of the sports radios or even the shows, but nobody was really talking about it. I don't understand why Yankee fans get passes, because honestly, Yankee fans are assholes. They've always been assholes, and they continue to show that they're assholes. Mm-hmm. And I think this isn't the first time they've done something like this either.
I don't think so either.
But again, I just don't understand why they get a pass. Why do they get a pass, but the city of Boston is always looked at as an awful sport?
It's a microscopic city, Boston. It's always looked under a microscope, and that is what happens when you have a winning culture. In Boston, and I get it. We typically as fans want to hate the team that's always winning, and the fans of the Brooklyn Nets that were on our ride, their dad mentioned to them that he picked those other teams versus picking the Knicks versus picking the Giants.
Kind of like the underdogs, right?
They kind of get the underdog. Yeah. Well, that's a choice that he made, and that's fine. But it's beyond them being an underdog. They've just been a poorly run organizations. So there you have it, folks. There is our opening vent, and it is being brought to you by Truckloader Champions, Tunneltown Trucking. So don't go anywhere. See you on the other side. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll get right into your Boston Celtics and your Boston Bruins. Don't go anywhere. And we're back. So thank you for hanging out, and hopefully you stuck around after our opening vent. And if you missed our opening vent, it was hot and heavy coming in, as you would probably expect if you've been following our show. And I had discussed, Cope, our comparative analysis, I guess you could say, of what it takes to be a Brooklyn fan and the loserville mentality that happens out there versus the winning culture that we have here in Boston, and how we should be pretty blessed, but critical. We have to be on our teams, because both of those teams, the Celtics and the Bees, are well on their way to get in the playoffs. One already in the playoffs, one about to start their playoffs, and the Nets and everyone else is about to go home, including the Jets, who are thinking about that third overall pick. And, of course, the Mets, who start off pretty good, but they'll fizzle out because they're the Mets. And, Colby, your was a good one. It was a good opening vent as well.
And it's funny because we were talking about maybe going to that game.
Yeah, we were.
I mean, I don't know if we would have lasted that long anyways.
Right. You know, Colby had mentioned the Yankee Stadium debacle that happened with fans throwing products and items and articles and all kinds of different things onto the field during that Cleveland Guardians versus the New York Yankees on that Saturday afternoon game, I believe it was.
1 o'clock game.
1 o'clock game. So there you have it, folks. That was our opening event, and we're going to go right into the game. So we had discussed that the media, Colby, Stephen A. Smith, if you're watching, which you're obviously not, but if you were, I like to hear you come talk to me like this. Stephen A. Smith and most of the national media, and you had mentioned this, did not believe that the Boston Celtics were going to have an easy sweep. It's going to be 6 or 7 games. And I think that the Brooklyn Nets, their window, I think they needed to split here to have a chance. And the reality is they had a chance both games. You had the lead with 5 seconds.
Yep, they did. I think that was the best game that they had this whole series.
Their first opening game where the Kyrie antics began, which I think is a complete no place for it in the NBA. As a professional. And I'm not going to go into for the kids. I'm just talking as a athlete and not having your composure, Kyrie. That brings such a bad tarnishment into the NBA, because if you, as the NBA, listen up, NBA, if you feel like this is what you want, you are going to have a snowball effect that you cannot stop. Yeah, because where does it end?
What do you mean?
As far as the antics. First, it's the whining.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I don't mind the athletes going back and forth with the crowd.
Me neither.
But to me, there's a line. You can talk crap all you want to each other. That's fine. But when you start flipping people off and calling people a bitch and you know what?
Yeah,
that's a little different.
Correct. And that line that gets crossed, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here we have a situation where the series was supposed to, if for Brooklyn to have a chance, I thought they had to split. They did not. The second game, they had a very comfortable lead.
I thought it was over. I was like, shit.
And they did not close. Today. So I don't know what you think, if you are rooting against Boston, what you thought was going to possibly change in Brooklyn. I still feel that maybe, and there's a tip-off here for Game 4 here very soon. Oh, newsflash. Ben Simmons, Mr. Pantalones of clown suits. That if you saw that dinkwad and what he was wearing on Saturday with the orange pants and the purple jacket from the 1980s, it looked like one of those 80s starter jackets. Yeah, he's not playing. So if you were wondering maybe if he was going to change around the series, he's not. You know why he's not? Because he's a weak-minded individual who's getting paid $30 to $35 million a year to be weak and wear pink, or rather orange pants with purple jackets. That's what you're getting paid to do. And wear glasses. And by the way, when you sit, the pants come up and become high waters. Excellent choice of attire for you, Mr. Ben Simmons.
Hey, when he's making all that money, right?
He is. I guess that's what you pay when you get $35 million. So he all of a sudden, his back is now bothering him again. I don't understand how a player, what is he, 26, 24, 5, something
like that,
already has major back problems. So you're making it sound like he's Larry Bird with back problems into his career. So they had a chance and they blew it. So now, ironically enough, we have an opportunity to be in Manhattan, which is just a little hop skip away to Brooklyn. And we had prepared ourselves to, we had other business to take care of there, but we had to make sure that we were going to go and check out this game.
Game 3.
And I will tell you, it felt like it could be a game that maybe if the seas drop, there's a little bit of pressure now on the Celtics. And they didn't start that game well, Cope.
Well, can I say from, when we first arrived there, you're walking into the arena, the Barclays, in my mind, I was thinking like, all right, what kind of game are we going to get today? Are the Celtics going to come out? They're going to come out flat because they're on the road. How are they going to play? Is the crowd going to be a factor? The one thing that I noticed right away, especially as soon as the arena filled up, that the crowd wasn't going to be a factor.
Nope.
I cannot remember going to a basketball game. And again, that just goes and shows you how spoiled we've been in Boston to go to the Garden to Celtics games. Those games are so loud no matter what. Regular season, even preseason, whatever you want to say, those games are loud.
It always is in there.
I felt like like someone said, it was like going to a funeral. It was so quiet inside that arena.
Like going to church.
Yeah, like going to church.
Exactly. Yep. And we had a chance. So in case the folks are wondering, out there in 508-974-3040, 508-974-3040 is our call-in. So please, if you want to chime in and talk about what you may have seen on TV that maybe we saw differently in person. We did get a chance to see the Celtics team come out of their bus on Friday.
Yes, we got very lucky.
We got very, very lucky.
Perfect timing.
The timing was impeccable. We got down there. They stayed down there at the Four Seasons. And when they came out, you could just tell that team was very engaged. They said hi a few players and acknowledged us. And we were the only 2 fans there, by the way. And they acknowledged us, but it was keep it moving. We got bigger fish to fry.
We're here for business.
And
one thing on our minds.
That made me feel really good.
Yes.
Going into Saturday. Chatham was one of the last ones out. Barely acknowledged, which is fine. And he had to take care of business there. It would have been, a couple of guys who I think a little over the top, with not wanting to say anything, but that's fine. I mean, they're pro players, but it was nice to see them come out and kind of see their aura. And that's what I want to see and gravitate. What are they going to look like coming out of that bus? And what I saw was a winning championship caliber attitude.
Yeah, and Robert Williams was the first one to come off the bus, and he looked good.
He did.
He looked ready to go.
Yep.
Yeah, and you could probably say, how do you know he was in street clothes? Just the way he came off that bus. You could tell he was ready to go.
Played 16 minutes.
Yep.
Didn't flash anybody with their statistics, but his presence there, I think, provided an mentality in Brooklyn. So we're at the game, and the game starts off exactly how Brooklyn needed to do. The Brooklyn came out quick. We came out flat. I didn't like the setup for Tyson to take a 3 in the corner and Marcus Smart to take a 3 in the corner. I thought those are not the players you want to take those threes that early, but that's how the chips fell when they were moving the ball around.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they were open. I get it, taking the shot, but when you're open, you got to make it.
Yep, yeah. And so they didn't make it. And so they called a quick timeout. It's 13 or 12-5. Very, very, very early.
Yes.
And then the Celtics come out at the timeout and they bring it. And they intensify their defense. They're moving a bit better without the ball. They're ball sharing a bit more. And what I took from that game was the following. Teams who play defensive-minded basketball are going to have an immense advantage over this new NBA. Because the new NBA looks at defending as a secondary, tertiary thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the offense in isolation first.
That's it. That's all it is.
So every time, that's what I realized, is that the defending in this league still is a factor if whatever team buys in on that. Number 2, the Celtics were able to put the plug on every Brooklyn run that they would take.
You're right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Every time.
Which was, that was amazing to see. Every time Brooklyn came back, here come the Celtics with a punch. They were like, we're not going to give you this lead, and it being there, obviously, where there were a good amount of Celtics fans there. I must say there was a good chunk, but still, you're at the opposing arena.
Yeah.
So of course, it's like, oh shit, every time Brooklyn gets something, here comes the crowd a little bit, even though it was still soft,
very soft.
But still, the crowd's starting to wake up a little bit, and it's like, all right, that's all Brooklyn might need, maybe to kind of get this.
If you're, it's like I've mentioned, if you're a parent and you have an infant and they're pooping for the very first time, you're looking at in that diaper and how soft it is. That's what you have over there in Brooklyn. Okay, it's that soft. If you want to have a comparative analysis of what, as far as content and texture, that's what you get there. And Kyrie got 5 fouls for the whole game. And it was funny because I was sitting there. We were sitting near one of our guys that went with us, and he caught that very quick foul in the first quarter. He fouled Tatum, I think it was, on a fast break.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, "Man, that's a bad foul." And our buddy didn't really agree with it at the time. I'm like, that could go back and bite him in the butt, and it actually wound up biting him in the butt because 5 fouls in the fourth quarter versus 4 is a tremendous difference. And he had to sit for a while. And now, of course, that's when the Blake Griffin comes in. Of course, he hits 2 threes. Mind you, he's 2 for 59 or something, for the season. But now, of course, Blake Griffin, it was so good to see Brown just taking his lunch.
I was just going to say, again, everyone that place was going nuts as soon as Griffin hit those 2 threes. But it's like, listen, you got to go back and play defense. Yeah, you hit 2 threes. But then on the other end, you just let Brown score twice on you.
He took his lunch, diapers, everything. He took everything from him, his pocket watch, his new J's,
everything.
While doing unbelievable how quick he got by him. Blake Griffin's done. He's all washed up, a dynamic player, a fun player to see. His prime is long past, but that's what Brooklyn wanted.
But doesn't that go and show you, though?
That name brings seats.
I was going to say, but doesn't that go and show you, like Steve Nash? I mean, I don't really believe in Steve Nash, like as a coach in the NBA, but he was literally trying everything he could to figure out a way to beat the Celtics. And Blake Griffin hadn't played in the first 2 games, and all of a sudden, after halftime, he decides to put Blake Griffin in the game.
Yeah, and that's just a team that when you start seeing those things and those coaching decisions, that's a team that doesn't have any answers for you at this point. Now, look, they're playing tonight. I really want to see it just be over.
Of course, everybody does, but who knows what's going to happen?
But they're down 3-1. The Celtics going to come a little bit lackadaisical. They're going to want to just get out of Brooklyn, come back home, and finish it up here for Game 5. Possible. Are they going to play Robert Williams a little bit more? It looks like he's going to go up to 24 minutes. He played 16.
Mm-hmm.
And you may think, well, 24 and 16, that's actually a big difference in basketball.
Of course
and 8 minutes is quite a bit. And maybe that's what they do. Maybe they're going to allow him to be in there a little bit longer. I would be very careful with him. I think 8 minutes is doable. You're looking at an extra 2 minutes per quarter, if you want to look at it that way. So that's probably an extra short shift.
Well, small little nugget here, which I did hear today. Scott Foster is the head officiating referee tonight, and he has a record of extending series.
I thought you were going to tell me he was a Boston Celtics fan, but okay.
So I'm curious to see how he's going to officiate this game because, obviously the first 3 games, Brooklyn hasn't had an answer for the Celtics defense being all over KD, and KD clearly hasn't had an answer.
19 turnovers.
So I'm curious to see how this game's going to be called today. I really hope they don't change it because to me, there really is no reason to change it. I mean, you're probably the best basketball player in the world right now. There's no need for you, to have the referees, he's all over me. Listen, you're the best basketball player in the world right now. You should get open no matter what kind of defense is on there. You can get your shot no matter what. It's on him. I put that on KD.
I want to tell you, and talking about KD, it's a great point because I was going to go into KD. So there was a timeout in the fourth quarter where we were kind of conversing about what we thought was going to happen in the game, and one of our colleagues pretty much said, "Hey, this is the time that KD, it's now or never." Fourth quarter, 8 minutes left. They're probably down by 8. And you know what I saw in body language is really, I saw a player, he comes out, he gets to the point, and he has his hands on his knees with his head down. And that body language to me,
that's all you need to see.
Is a body language to me, and I'm a fan like all of you folks. That is a defeated, throw in the towel attitude. Shoulder shrugged, head down, knees, hands on your knees, and then the dagger was that turnover that Tatum takes all the way and dunks, and he takes the ball and he whips the ball. Durant whips the ball. After that, he may have fouled Tatum or something. It just goes to show you that the Brooklyn Nets folks are a very distant memory from what they were supposed to be.
Well, I was just going to say, it's to me, it kind of felt like they know they're not going to beat the Celtics, or they can't compete with them right now. Okay, you got Kyrie making excuses after the game in his press conference saying, we just haven't played together a lot, blah blah blah. Listen, it's the playoffs now. There was 82 games in the NBA season. If you didn't figure it out by now, I don't know what to tell you. And the other thing I was going to say is Kyrie already got his ring. Durant's already got a couple of rings. So in my eyes, the vibe I got from them is like, hey, we already got ours. That maybe it's just the Celtics year. There's always next year.
Yeah, so tough, Drummond, who you don't. Yeah. I don't think Drummond has one. I don't think Blake has one.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
But that's like tough.
But that's kind of the vibe I got from those two guys.
It's a good point. It's a really good angle to look at that, because it sure as heck feels that way. And of course, talking about Kyrie and fasting in the Ramadan. Look, and I respect these religions and what people want to do. I totally understand that. I don't really have an answer for that, Colby. Religion is important for many folks, to include myself.
Yeah.
So I would never sit here and chastise anybody or throw a stone at a glass, house or anything like that. But I mean, that choice, I'm sure, is affecting your ability to play the NBA at that level. Sure, you're probably not having your nutrients.
Man. Think about it. You're
running.
Clearly.
So I give him that credit. The fact that he's trying to, he's trying to practice his faith while playing at an NBA playoff level. I don't have an answer for Durant, other than I just think the Celtics have maybe figured out a formula that works for him. It was the saying that people had figured out maybe a formula for Pat Mahomes.
Yeah,
and you kind of take those blueprints and you use them. Maybe that's what the blueprint is.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, Ime played against Durant when he first came in the league. Ime was still in the league, so Ime's obviously familiar with him playing. And Ime was also an assistant with the Nets. So, I mean, if anybody knows Kevin Durant probably better than most, it should be Ime, And clearly the game plan that he has for Durant is working. And it's like Kevin he's never had to deal with this adversity in his entire career, and he just doesn't know how to handle it.
Exactly. You look at college, you look at AAU, and we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The way they're developing players, there's that piece of the defending and grinding and resiliency and mental toughness that I'm not sure if it's always there. I'm not saying it's not there, but I don't think it's there as much as it should be.
You're right.
508-974-3040 is our call. Hope you're chiming in and, check those likes and, share our pages and share our show. And with those sharings and your participation, folks, is exactly what you sports fans and us, that's what we want to have here. We want to have a relationship with all of you. So hopefully you're chiming in. And look, good, bad, or indifferent, sports it's nothing personal. It's what makes this type of podcast interesting, alive, and well involved. So chime in if you want, 508-974-3040, or you can simply chat in and comment there, and we'll try to get to those. And Colby is he's my police monitor for what's being commented, and we try to get to those as well. So we're going to take a quick break, Cole. We have digested that. Not much more to say other than I want the Celtics to win tonight.
Well, I was just going to say, if it wasn't for Bruce Brown, I think the Nets would have got their asses spanked on their own home court.
And I got to tell you, I like that kid.
Yeah, he definitely plays with fire. He scored, 26, I think?
Something like that.
So he's the one that kept them in that game, believe it or not.
So I'm going to say the Celtics sweeper tonight. Put them to the misery.
I hope so.
And move on. So that's kind of what I'm looking. I'm looking at I would like to see a blowout, like a 126-96 is what I would like to see, like a massive blowout, just something to put the dagger in it, where we come out, they put the pedal to the metal, they get the lead, and they never turn back around. So
just get it over with.
That's what I'm predicting on that game, Cole. What do you think?
Obviously, I would love to see a sweep. I mean, how cool would that be?
What are you thinking? You think it might slip?
I mean, I'm thinking that the Nets should come out and be the aggressor, right? I mean, season's on the line. So I'm expecting them to come out kind of guns blazing, knowing that they're at home.
Yeah.
But again, we were at that arena the other day. It's not a loud arena.
Not really.
Those fans aren't really into it. They're only there because they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Correct.
Just like that fan that was sitting behind me, every time Kyrie dribbled the ball, he's like, "Oh, come on, Kyrie, you got this, Kyrie. Marcus can't guard you. Marcus can't guard you." Fun fact for that fan: Marcus Smart was the defensive player of the year.
Right.
And Marcus Smart can guard Kyrie Irving, which is why Kyrie Irving had a shitty game on game 3.
We got a call. Coming in, Klutch, you're live.
Hello?
Yes, Xavier, go ahead. Can you hear me? You're on, bud.
Hello.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes. Go ahead, X. Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
4-0, 3 turnovers already.
There you have it.
Yep.
It's 4-0 already early,
And that's the Celtics.
and that's the Celtics. There you go. And he hangs up, and that's it. And that is your take, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your take. It is 4-0 with 3 turnovers already.
I wish I had a hot take.
Hot take. So there you go. Well, thanks for calling in, X. You're always welcome to call in. We take all shapes and sizes here of all ages. So if you can call in, we try to keep this as G as you possibly can. Sometimes there's a slippage here and there. But anyway, well, look, we are ecstatic about this team. We know the next level, the next round is going to be obviously a bit more involved. But you know what? There's players dropping from other teams that are critical players, and sometimes that's all you need to make a run.
But I don't want to get ahead of ourselves.
Nope.
Let's
close it
just
out.
get out of this round first.
Exactly. 508-974-3040 is our call. Hit us on the other end. We're going to take a quick, short break, and we'll be back. Talk some Bruins. See you there. And we're back, folks. Coming in clutch on the Eric B Media platform. 6:30 to 7:30 is what you're watching every Monday night. And our call-in is 508-974-3040. And we had to come out of the break and had our segment on the Boston Celtics and what we had seen and what we had analyzed at the game. And we actually did a little quick live, Colby, while we're there. That's what we did to kind of show folks what we thought was going to happen there. An abysmal environment. Really fair weather fans there. I think that fan base has a lot of work to get behind their team. But
see, people forget about that. Like when I think it was 2012 when they moved in there, the Nets have sucked ever since.
Yeah.
It was what, 2 years ago when they signed Kyrie and KD. That's when things change. And I think, of course, you sign 2 big players, you're going to get fans, right? You know what I mean? But people forget like how much of a dumpster fire that organization was before that.
Right. And Brooklyn, had got in there, their owner was making a lot of promises, had deep pockets, and just was not able to really ever get it going until the last couple of years. I mean, they were kind of a lottery team really since they moved to Brooklyn. I don't remember them really having, and if they weren't, they were picking in the top 10. It seemed like every time.
Even when they had Pierce and Garnett, that team still wasn't that great, right?
No, not really. So there you have it, folks. We don't think that they're going to go anywhere. That Brooklyn team has a lot of work to do ahead of themselves, and the Celtics right now are up small margin.
Can I just ask a question real fast before we switch? do you think, say they lose today, the Nets, okay, and they get swept? Do you think the whole super team dynamic is blown up after
It's a
this?
very good point, and I actually thought about that on the train back that we came on, and I think I think it's going to be looked at and having a second thought before a team decides to do that. I think it's a lot like the NFL. That model that the Rams were using was not a conventional model. The conventional model was, grow through the draft, and be able to, find players at a good price and,
Yes.
and mold those players and then bring in a free agent here and there to kind of add kind of the icing on the cake. And obviously the Rams have not done that. They've given up all their stock to bring in players that are they're ready at the now to win championships. I'm thinking maybe that's the opposite, maybe happening in the NBA. I still feel that that's a players league. I still feel that that's a league that is run by players. I think that Steve Nash's seat and is extremely hot right now.
Listen, if I were him, I'd be happy to get fired. I wouldn't want to deal with
I think so too. I think the era, for him there is over. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if teams will want to change that because it's too easy and too popular to do. But I do think it needs to be looked at when you're ready. If you look at the pull up, the water cash and open up a checkbook and go buy, 3 high-end players. We saw the Lakers. That didn't work. Westbrook, LeBron, Anthony Davis. You would think that trio would be enough, but just not enough.
No.
It just needs more. So that's our take there for the Celtics. Right now it's 10-10. So a little quick run there for Brooklyn. So we'll see. We'll keep our eyes on that game very early still in that one. We had some baseball talk, so I will get to the Bruins in a minute. Just a real quick thing with the Bruins, with the Celtic, with the Red Sox rather. Sox have dropped a couple. Their Saturday game, a no-hitter through 9, basically, with 6 different pitchers. And they had the lead in the 10th. And then there was an error, a disastrous error, apparently, from a Trevor Story. And then that got the player on. And then there was a bomb and game over. So it's still early. I understand that. I'm not ready to pounce on them yet. But they need to polish up some things.
I was going to say the one thing that makes me nervous about this team, I love baseball, is, believe it or not, it's not the pitching. It's not the bullpen. It's not the starting pitching. It's the offense. This team is built to win offensively, and they aren't hitting.
Terrible average.
They aren't hitting.
Yeah.
And this is probably, I don't want to overreact, but Tim Hires was their hitting coach for the past couple of years when the Red Sox were raking. They let him go last year. They let him go at the end of the year for reasons I don't know why. They hired a new hitting coach. I don't even know who he is. But I don't know what this new hitting coach is showing them, because they're literally like swinging at first pitches.
Right.
I don't think this team's I think this team might have walked like twice this year.
Right. Just to put into perspective, this is your average right now for the Red Sox. This is as of the most recent game.
Mm-hmm.
Trevor Story leads off, right? 234. Kiki Hernandez, 2-hole, 180.
Whew.
Wow, 180. Oh my goodness. Then you got Rafi. So Rafi does it's 265.
I was gonna say he's like the only bright spot of that lineup.
But the 265, but that's because he hits bombs, but doesn't really hit for average.
Correct.
Right. But he's at 265. I expect a player like him to be an average hitter of 275, 280.
Yeah, he'll be in that range.
Xander, best player, I think, by far. 350 is what he's saying.
The guy always hits.
He just rakes, right? He rakes. And every at-bat is a grinder. Verdugo, picking up where he left off a little bit. 291. So there's your, 4, 5, 6. 3, 4, 5, rather, right there. And then it goes back to being a sieve. Dahlback, first base, 154.
Yeah.
Ouchie. And our boy Arroyo, who's back in the infield, like where he belongs, 179. So,
and Vasquez. And listen, and I like Vasquez. I think he's a good catcher.
Yeah.
But I just don't know what's going on with him, man.
Buck 89.
I think it, honestly, and I hate to say it because I do like him, but I think it might be time to move on from him. And I think they need to upgrade at the catcher position.
I think that's been the case for a while. They had Salta Lamarca there years ago, and they've had
nobody's been able to take that Veritek role ever since Veritek.
No, really, they haven't. The other guy they had there, he's gone now. The heaviest set dude, Hispanic guy, I forget his name now.
Oh, Sandy Leon.
Yeah, Leon. Yeah. didn't really take that over either. And Ref Snyder is hitting 250, but he doesn't really play much. And JD has been out of the lineup apparently.
Yes.
So JD wasn't really raking much either. So that average is not very good. And that with your starting pitchers of 4.85 ERA for Richie Hill, Valdez 3.24, Brazier 3.86. Matt Barnes, a whopping 7.20. So just in case
I don't know what happened to him.
Well, he's been falling off the wayside really early. And Hook, 287, fine. Deckman, 193, and obviously, the long reliever there. Whitlock's been
Listen, I love Whitlock.
Most consistent guy.
I love Robles.
Yeah, I know Robles. So yeah,
I know Robles. People didn't like him last year, but he comes in there. And he just throws smoke.
He just throws
you have
smoke.
no idea where that ball's going.
Exactly. so the Sox got some work to do there. They have some work to do in their lineup. Their bats have been very quiet, and they're just really aggressive, idiotic at bats. Not grinding. Remember, like their winning teams were basically teams that would grind bats.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why they let Tim Hires go. This team changed when they hired Tim Hires.
Yeah,
and they became an amazing offensive team. I mean, just look at Kike Hernandez last year, for instance.
Yeah,
right? The guy's been a utility guy his whole career. All of a sudden, he comes to the Red Sox. Starts. And he leads off, dude. He had a hell of a year last year.
He did. And
I'm telling you, it's because of Tim Hires.
Right.
Tim Hires changed something in him, made him see the at-bats differently, his approach differently, and he started hitting the crap out of the ball. I still don't understand why they let that guy go.
Yep. Well, I'm not sure exactly why they did either, and this is not working. So there's your quick hot take there for your Boston Red Sox. So we're not losing our minds. But there is a screw that's coming undone. The screw is coming undone.
It's getting
a little bit. So 508-974-3040. And now, switching over gears into your Boston Bruins. So the Bruins needed their magic number was 3, Colby. And boy, did it take a long time to get those 3.
There's been a lot of injuries lately.
They didn't play well against Ottawa, but they wound up squeaking out that win that they needed. They didn't want it. They wound up playing horrid against Pittsburgh, and it took them a little while, but they finally got in.
Hold on, can I say something real fast? This just popped in my head. What a coincidence that the Winter Classic is being played at Fenway Park next year against the Pittsburgh Penguins.
I think we've had that in the past, and it's very coincidental.
Because I know an owner who owns both those teams.
Do you really? I wonder where their revenue is going to go.
Exactly. I find that very. Sorry, I just had to get that in there real fast.
Yep. So. Good little hot take there. If you can own both teams, they fix each other, and the money comes into one pocket.
Thank you.
The right pocket. So your Boston Bruins are officially in. They wound up playing very questionable in the back, and my concern with them was the goaltending situation. So Mark Skidmark, believe it or not, prior to him getting pulled in that first period, he was playing pretty well. And when Swayman came in, it didn't look right. It just felt like he wasn't ready for that. And this is my concern with the Bruins as they're going in. They're probably going to stick around the 6th seed, which means they're going to get Toronto. And the Leafs have been pretty much the Buffalo Bills of the NHL. They're a team that looks good on paper, has great regular seasons, and then when it comes to the playoffs, let me tell you, there's so much volatility in hockey. That home ice.
Listen, playoff hockey, me, I'm not really big into hockey, but playoff hockey is exciting. It really is really exciting to watch those games.
Yeah, and right now that, the 3, 4, 5, 6 seed, the 2, I mean, it's a difference of a few points. I don't think they're going to catch Tampa Bay now. But they could. I mean, Tampa Bay has been skipping and skidding and sliding all the way down the wrong way. I thought that they had they have a cupcake schedule, Cole, and that Tampa team lost some really bad games. Detroit, bad loss.
Listen, I think the wheels are coming off on that team finally. I mean, think about it. They've been good, relevant for what? They at least had a good 6, 7, 8 year run, I believe, right?
They have.
And I think just like the Patriots, like every good, whatever you want to say, run comes to an end eventually.
Yep. And they were up and down. They put a shellacking on the Leafs, 8-1. That was last week, Thursday, last Wednesday. And then now what's happening with them is not only are they winning, their offense is clicking again. They go face Nashville, disaster team, 6-2. And then they face Florida Panthers, beat them 8-4. So they got a 3-game winning streak. And they have Columbus twice and the Islanders. Not that crazy of a schedule, considering that both the Islanders and Columbus have not been very good and are really in the bottom of the barrel. But now you're looking at the Bees, and the Bees have kind of been up and down. That 3-game loss, that was that period I was telling you that they need that magic number to be 3. They lost to Ottawa 3-2. They made a good comeback, but that was the game that we needed to steal one on the goalie, and the goalie did not sit on his head. The Blues, that was the game as well. That was the game I think that Swayman came in. Pretty sure they lost that one 2-4. They made a little bit of comeback, but they were never really in it. They lost to the Capitals 4-2. They got 2 wins, and that loss to Pittsburgh, which was a disaster. No offense, Zippo. And let me tell you what's frustrating here with this team. Terrible power play. Dude, they're like 0 for 26 or something.
Yeah.
They have a terrible power play. And a lot of that is predicated. No pasta.
I was going to say, is it? But wasn't there like some encouraging news about him? Yes.
So for those of you who still don't think that Pasternak may not be a true player, a valuable piece for this team, I think he's annoying when he tries to do too much. But the guy's a sniper.
Yeah.
You stick him inside the dots, you stick him inside the circles, and you set up his shot, and it's going to be a dangerous opportunity.
Yep.
And it's going to probably put you ahead. So setting up that shot, I think the Bees are trying to lean over the ice, and when they're looking for that finisher, just not there right now. So power play has to get fixed. They have to get better on the power play.
What about Lindholm? When's he coming back?
It's still a timetable, a couple of weeks, I think.
Wasn't that something? You make that big trade, get him the 8-year extension, gets hurt.
So, yeah, there's been some misfortune there. So I think they're going to stick it out with a 6 seed. I was hoping that maybe, those cupcake losses, with Tampa, I've been watching them, but, that 3-game winning streak is kind of what you didn't want them to be doing in the end of the season. It was kind of getting that little streak. If they take these next 3 games, that pretty much solidifies, the 5 seed. So the 6 seed is probably going to stick to the Bees. It is close, but I don't think they're going to be able to close that gap. It would be great, but I don't think they're going to close it. So, like I said, you got Toronto. You've kind of owned Toronto, through its history. Toronto's has some series where they've taken you as well.
Well, those fans are nuts up there.
But it's Toronto, and the fan base there is pretty strong.
They live and die hockey.
They really do. And it's going to be an old-fashioned klaxon, banging, bruising. So the Bees got to be ready. They have to figure out a way. Bruce Cassidy, you need to figure out a way. I know you don't have your most potent offensive player, but where's Marshy been? Brad Marchand has been a sieve.
He has.
A minus player.
Even Bergeron's kind of.
Yeah. Bergie, they're making a big deal about him, which, okay, he just passed Ray Bork's record, and he's creeping in.
Well, he came off that injury, too. He was injured for a while.
Right. He's creeping in, as being a top 3, all-time, goal scorer in Bruins. That's fantastic. But, if you're going to keep this player at this age, you got to have to ride and die with him and live and ride with him.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be an issue with them. They have to clean up the back a bit. Swayman, one of these 2 guys has to play on his head. And this is nothing new here. In hockey, you need your goalie to get hot. And I don't, and I thought Allmark was getting hot. Then he got pulled on that. He had that weird injury that went to his, a concussion thing against the Blues, I believe. In comes Swayman. Swayman peed his pants. And it's been kind of a yo-yo.
I mean, Swayman, I think he's been losing confidence, kind of playing the whole kind of yo-yo thing, like you just said, of what goalie he's going to play tonight. And I put that on Sweeney. I put that on the Bruins for kind of putting the Bruins in that situation.
I still believe the Allmark move was not a good move.
No, it's too much money for that guy.
It was too much money. It added pressure to a rookie guy. You were almost better off taking Swayman, keeping Vladar, going with the young guys, and at least it showed me as a fan a picture perfect or clear picture anyway of what was going to happen with that position.
Yeah.
We're going with 2 young goaltenders. We're going to ride and die and develop these guys through our system, just like we did up until now.
Correct.
And by them getting rid of Vladar, who's not really playing much, and then you bring in Allmark, who really had a rough start, got much, much better, great percentage, great save percentage lately. I still okay. Maybe he gets hot now when we need him.
Yeah, but he could. I mean, to me, they could have used that money somewhere else.
I agree. I think they still needed another guy up front. They took care of somebody in the back and getting another defenseman that can move around. Lindholm obviously out and right now. But it would have been nice to find that second center. You know, and I will tell you, Bruce Cassidy, when he calls out players hear that and they react. Talking to you, Mr. Coyle. Charlie Coyle had he had a game, I think it was either Ottawa or the Blues, and Bruce Cassidy pretty much said, he's got to shoot more there. He's got to stop being so passive. And he comes out, he scores 2 goals in the next couple of games. So if that's what it takes for Bruce to do, he's going to do that. He is not a sugarcoating kind of guy. He is the exact kind of coach that I want on this team. A guy that's going to call you out. This is hockey. It's men, tough guys who play this. Women play it too. We're not the league, unfortunately, but that's pretty good hockey, by the way.
It is.
But it's a game that at the NHL level is predominantly men, and you got to be tough. You got to win pucks in corners. You got to be able to defend. You got to be able to counter ice quickly and finish and have a power play and have a penalty kill. They kill pretty well.
So let me ask you this: if the Bruins don't get out of the first round, okay, A, do you consider the season a failure?
Yes.
B, do you get rid of the coach?
Nope.
C, do you get rid of Sweeney?
Yes.
Just curious.
Yes. I think the first getting out of the first round and not being able to get out of the first round, to me, it's not what Bruins hockey should be about.
No, they should always get the second, make it to the Eastern Final.
This is a team
that's built for this.
And they nickel and dime at times, but I think they've mismanaged their funds. And that's a league hole that has a real cap, folks. Like, it's not like, oh, let's tear this up. Like Tom Brady, by the way, we're going to you. Don't worry, I'm not going to forget about you. Another fraud move over there in Tampa. We'll get to that in a minute. It's not like the NFL where you can restructure and are magically delicious, just like Lucky Charms. You have $9 million in cap. That's what happened with Tom Brady.
But he had to be the highest paid, right?
That's what I thought too. But in the NHL, not so fast.
Of course,
it's the real deal.
That's
real dog.
That's why. Yeah, that is the only sport I believe that's right on the money.
Super tight. So those players get what they deserve, and they sign for that, and that's what they get. So going into the playoffs again, the Bees wound up taking over and beating obviously the Montreal Canadiens, who are basically an irrelevant team at this point. They got a few games left, and they still got a little bit of a tough schedule. They had a tougher schedule than Tampa. You know, they're playing the Panthers at home, the Sabres, and they ended, ironically, in Toronto.
How funny would that be?
And it's like, well, if you want to make a run for it, you're going to have to win. So the max points you can get in these next 3 games is 6 points. The most you can probably get. The least you can get is obviously nothing and everything in between, a combination. So for you to be able to catch up to Tampa, you got a 3-point difference. There's got to be a 3-point swing somewhere. Tampa has to lose. You got to win.
Yeah.
They'll have to lose 2 or tie one, but lose 1.
Isn't it kind of simple? Win.
That's all it takes.
That's it. Win.
So it's going to be a tough stretch to close that gap. But I think we're looking at Toronto, and they got to get ready and play that team. It's a team that's always had good talent, and they've always fallen a little short. But the Bees got to take it to them, and I think overall they've had pretty good success with them. So there's your take there on the Bruins. I feel like the Bees, you have to fix some things up. They're running out of time. You got to get healthy.
They better hurry up.
They got to get healthy. They got to have they got to get healthy. They got to fix that power play. 508-974-3040 is our call. We're going to take a quick break. We'll come back for another quick segment, and we'll probably wrap it up at that point. So don't go anywhere.
And we're back. Hot take right out of the gate.
Bing, bing. Go ahead, Cole. Take it away.
The Brooklyn Nets changed their court. They have the old school Nets logo in the center of their court.
Bravo.
I guess they're trying to see what's going to bring them some luck. I don't know. I don't know if changing the court's going to help you.
Well, maybe I'll get Jason Kidd back.
Unless you got some type of stuff underneath there that we don't know about, right?
Interesting. So there you have it, folks. If you're looking and watching the game and the little things that we look at, and Colby caught that at the break, and I told him to take it away. And yes, the Nets have changed their logo back to the 1988 logo.
Actually, to the New Jersey Nets logo.
Interesting, the New Jersey Nets logo. So maybe that'll bring them some good luck. Maybe that's their leprechaun. Maybe we should step on that jersey tonight, and that logo tonight. So since apparently that's what we do apparently in the NBA. So 508-974-3040 is our phone call here. We have a few more moments, and I want to take a couple of things and talk a little bit about football. And I got really hot and heavy with Tom Brady again. I'm very confused, Colby. Very confused.
What are you confused about?
I thought that Tom Brady was looking to leave because we were not paying him what we needed. I think the Pats wanted to give him, was it $18 million for 2 years? No, $18 million a year, $20 million a year. I don't remember exactly what the number was, but 18
around there sounds about right.
So he goes and he got 25 a year for 2 years. I think
it was 30.
30. Okay, we'll go with 30. And over the weekend, he just restructured to clear up more space, and he cleared up $9 million. So I want to be real quick with my math. And I'm not that good at math, so check me. Fact check. So if you get 30 and you take out 9, you're back down to 21.
So Patriots are in the ballpark.
They weren't that far off. So don't tell me it was a money thing.
But he got pushed out the door.
So he got pushed out. We didn't want him here anymore. Nobody wanted him here anymore. And he wanted to go get paid. And now he just restructured after.
Again, remember, he did this last year, too.
He did. So the restructuring has happened. And now he's freeing up more space. Tom Brady does not need any more money, folks. Stop losing your minds. It was not a contract thing. That was maybe a piece of it, maybe the 7th thing on the list.
That was the excuse.
But that's the easy excuse. Let's be smarter fans. I've told you this time and time again. We try to make fans think a little bit different and be a little more sophisticated. That is not why he left.
Nope, not at all.
That was a piece, maybe 10%. So stop doing that. So there you have it. You know, Tom Brady has given up $9 million to let the Bucs maybe bring back Gronk. I don't know. The last quick thing before we leave is the NFL draft. It has arrived, which means I get really excited, Cole, because it's the first thing that really matters after, free agency obviously is
the
big
NFL
one.
season's approaching.
So it means things are coming around. And of course, it all comes down to how is Bill Belichick going to draft? That's what we care about. And they're drafting 21st. So I still believe that they will draft a defensive player. If they draft an offensive lineman, I will lose my marbles. Please do not do that. Not in the first round. Please. Well,
again, Mike Reese was pretty connected to the Patriots, said that he believes the Patriots are going to trade back because there's a lot. This is a draft that has a lot of good depth in this second and third.
The second thing that I was hoping that wasn't going to happen, that probably will happen, is that will they trade back?
I know it's like you set up all night Thursday. The Patriots are on the clock.
Oh, Patriots have
traded their 21st pick.
Yeah.
Listen,
so
they might trade it. I guess it depends. Do they want a defensive player, or are they in on this Jameson Williams kid from Alabama? Because everything I've been hearing is this kid's a stud now, and a lot of people are getting on the train with him. They want him, and the Chiefs are interested in him. And he's supposed to kind of projected to go in that range. I mean, unless someone gets him obviously earlier. And maybe the Chiefs gives the Patriots a trade that they just can't resist.
Maybe. So we'll see how that unravels. So get ready for that. That's happening Thursday night is the first one. First round, right?
Yep.
And that'll bleed into Friday and Saturday. I don't think it goes into Sunday.
I think it does.
Maybe it does. Now. So I know.
It's like 40 rounds.
It is a 40. Yeah, it's it is a million rounds. So there you have it, folks. So we're hoping that the Pats draft a defensive player in their first round. Realistically, we also feel that they'll probably will draft out of there and get more picks and get out of that and move up, maybe go to the 28th or 26th or something like that. So we'll see. But that's all we have time for tonight. Time flies when you're having fun, Cole.
One thing I can't say is I hope the Pats get one of those Alabama wideouts.
I'll take that and add that to the arsenal that they need, because it appears to be the new way of doing things in the NFL as well.
Yeah,
Is finding your college buddy.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. If they grab one of those guys, they'll be all right.
So that's all we have time for tonight. And of course, as always, our podcast is on Monday nights, 6:30 to 7:30 on the Eric B Media platform. And as always, it is being brought to you by the great folks at Troy City Mortgage and their partners in crime, the Walsh Title and Closing, working together to bring you the best home buying experience. Troy City Mortgage has the best abilities to give you a mortgage in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, led by the great David Pereira, who was on, by the way, the other day. So if you missed him, go back and check him out. Smart guy. The team there at Troy City and have local roots and deep knowledge and also expert solutions to bring you the very best mortgage possible. Give them a call at 508-207-5864. That's 508-207-5864. And of course, the folks over at the Walsh Title and Closing, very important documents to get done and make it straight for your closing. They can be reached at 508-858-5725, 508-858-5725. Folks, that's all we have. So you sports heads, follow, share, like. We'll be here again next week, same time, same station. I'm Nelly.
I'm Colby.
And we are out.